According to the UN, 76% of the world's poor live in rural areas. Usually they're forced to the cities where they have to live in slums to try to eke out a living. This Malaysian company, though, believes that its solution could change that and give people the reason to stay in the villages.
Greetings to my respective lecturers, Sir Muhammad Nazir bin Rabun, and all my fellow friends. In this presentation, me and my team members will discuss the question given, which is how to address the uneven development progress between urban and rural areas in the future. But before I start, I would like to introduce my group members. First, my name is NURUL SYAZWANI binti ARMAN. Together with me is AMIR RASHIDI bin Abu Usman, MOHAMMAD HAIQAL Danial bin SUIHIMI, NURUL AQILAH binti MOHAMMAD NASIR, FARISYA IRDANI binti MOHAMMAD FARID, and NURUL Nabila binti Ismail. To begin with, let's start with the background of the issue. The uneven development progress between urban and rural areas has been a persistent issue across many countries. While urban areas thrive with rapid growth, infrastructure development, and economic opportunities, rural areas often lag behind, experiencing slower progress and limited access to essential resources. According to Rignell and Atia in their research studies, this disparity stems from a combination of factors such as differential access to resources, concentration of industries in urban centers, transportation limitations, and policy decisions. Understanding the reasons behind this uneven development is crucial for policymakers and stakeholders to implement targeted strategies that bridge the gap and promote more inclusive and balanced progress.
People in this region do not have access to clean drinking water, nor do they have continuous electricity. They supply their own through gensets, but they have to cart the fuel from very far places, and it's very costly for them.
By addressing the challenges faced by rural areas and ensuring equitability distribution of resources and opportunities, societies can strive towards sustainable development that benefits both urban and rural communities. According to Sintarilingam, since the start of epidemic, COVID-19 has caused Malaysia's GDP growth to drop at least 3.1%. Its impact will be felt most amongst its urban poor. Even at least 3.8% of Malaysians living in urban areas struggle to maintain a minimum income to sustain a healthy and reasonable life. What about people living in rural areas? Let's move on to the problems that needs to be addressed.
Sabah had been left behind when it comes to providing basic services for them. The vague framework of infrastructure might cause slower and negative impacts towards the development of the country. Sabah had contributed towards the revenue of oil, palm oil, and tourism. The small amount of allocation for development had caused Sabah to be dissatisfied because of unfair treatment by the government. At least they should have a similar highway to what Peninsula had, the Plus Highway. The most needed infrastructure like electricity, water, and internet are also not yet considered as easy to access. Nowadays, the government has launched the 5th generation of internet, but at Sabah, they are still much left behind in adopting 4th generation of internet. In addition, the capacity of Kota Kinabalu International Airport had almost reached the full capacity of users. In this case, it might stem from the Sabah political leaders who cannot be trusted for not fighting hard for their people. The issue of unemployment in specific rural areas at Sabah had gained a negative result of the increasing rate of unemployment at Sabah, recorded 17.3% at the month of November 2021. The lack of infrastructure had been the reason for the discourage of working. Most of the land had been reserved for the farms and none of it can be utilized for creating other potential economic opportunities. The federal government had done nothing towards the issue, and it is hard for Sabah to be independent. Most of the potential workers at Sabah had gone brain drained to other work-fit land like Peninsula or overseas due to the lack of basic infrastructure. For example, the lack of public transport, road lamps, clear roads, and internet access. Consequently, outsiders also were not interested in doing business here. There is a way for them to entrepreneur their own land, but the absence of internet access makes them unconnected with the market platform to advertise their product. The harmful effect that can be seen here is the brain drain effect. The brain drain is the cost of human capital migrating to other countries or places, and they are contributing towards the development of other countries, but not in their own country. The migration of human capital might be caused from the high income opportunity, good infrastructure, technology advancement, education, and work-life balance. In Malaysia, the migration policy in the year of 1991 had caused an economic recession towards the country due to the lack of manufacture in the industry, which they migrate to Singapore for executing the diplomatic matters, besides having a currency of dollar instead of ringgit.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is HAIQAL Daniel, and I will talk about the suggestion for several issues that have been discussed before. First, I propose to implementing a strategy of decentralization for regional development to address the issue of uneven development between rural and urban areas, particularly that lack of basic service highlighted by AMIR RASHIDI. It is imperative for our government to shift its focus from exclusively developing the bustling Klang Valley to fostering the growth in rural areas, for instance Sabah and Sarawak. Sabah and Sarawak are in dire of need of attention and investment to improve their basic facilities. By investing in these essential amenities, we can attract more businesses and industries to this region, leading to increased economic opportunities. Allow me to highlight the positive outcomes that can arise from such efforts. Firstly, an influx of investment in Sabah and Sarawak will contribute to a significant reduction in unemployment rates. We have witnessed the success story of Negeri Sembilan, where the government concentrated efforts resulted in attracting staggering RM8.9 billion worth of investment in 2022. As a result, Negeri Sembilan achieved a commendable unemployment rate of 2.5% in the first quarter of 2023. It is essential to replicate this success and ensure equitable development across our nation. By allocating resources to the neglected regions, we can empower communities, create employment opportunities, and foster balanced economic growth.
In general, costs refer to the amount of resources such as money, time, effort, or material that are required to produce or acquire something.
Costs can also encompass various expenses associated with a particular activity, process, or project.
Logistics is the process of planning, implementing, and controlling the efficient and effective flow and storage of a goods, service, and information from the point of origin to the point of consumption. Recently, a sudden increase in logistic costs in Sabah and Sarawak has burdened all industrialists in the state as well as impacted the rural area in Sabah and Sarawak. Moreover, according to the Sabah Federation of Industry, Vice President Ng View Chuan, he said that the sudden increase in the logistic cost is due to the increase in international oil price.
When logistic increase, the good price also will increase. Thus, it will affect the gap between urban and rural area.
Due to the increasing cost of logistics in Sabah and Sarawak, it brings harmful effect toward the people, especially in rural area. The disadvantage is poor people in this state, especially children, with malnutrition because the price of goods is expensive, such as average quality of beef and fish, cost between RM30 Malaysia to RM40 Malaysia.
Balang, rotan datang, maya mahal. Mang naik sikit orang bising-bising. Betul tak? Kai orang clear, kai saya panggil orang datang itu kai mang naik. Betul susah tak? Orang kai tak naik, orang mau beli barang, mau makan susah. Itu semua naik. Minyak pun naik. Kopi apa pun naik lah.
Moreover, as for example, 10 sen became a wordless not long ago than RM1 Malaysia. Now, RM10 Malaysia can't buy a plate of fried kway teow. A cup of coffee with no sugar is a RM2.50. It shows how expensive the grocery, food and drink are in Sabah and Sarawak. Furthermore, in comparison, Sabah and Sarawak cost of living is at least 30% higher than West Malaysia. The harmful effect is the inflation level in Sabah and Sarawak keep increasing. Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period. Inflation is typically a broad measure such as the overall increase in prices or the increase in the cost of living in country.
Due to the increasing cost of logistics in Sabah and Sarawak, it brings harmful effect toward the people, especially in rural area. The disadvantage is poor people in this state, especially children, with malnutrition because the price of goods is expensive, such as average quality of beef and fish cost between 30 ringgit Malaysia to 40 ringgit Malaysia.
Balang, latang, lotan, datang, maya mahan. Mang naik sikit orang bising-bising. Betul tak? Kai orang kelia, kai saya panggil orang datang itu kai mang naik. Betul susah tak? Orang kai tak naik, orang mau beli balang, mau makan susah. Itu semua naik. Minyak pun naik. Kopi apa pun naik lah.
Moreover, as for example, 10 sen became a wordless not long ago than 1 ringgit Malaysia. Now, 10 ringgit Malaysia can't buy a plate of fried kway teow. A cup of coffee with no sugar is a 2 ringgit 50 sen. It shows how expensive the grocery, food and drink are in Sabah and Sarawak. Furthermore, in comparison, Sabah and Sarawak cost of living is at least 30% higher than West Malaysia. The harmful effect is the inflation level in Sabah and Sarawak keep increasing. Inflation is the rate of increase in prices over a given period. Inflation is typically a broad measure such as the overall increase in prices or the increase in the cost of living in country.
For the second suggestion, I would like to address the critical issue of logistic costs in Sabah and Sarawak that raised by AQILAH. There are a lot of factors that contributed to the high logistic costs at Sabah and Sarawak. By implementing effective strategies, the Malaysian government can tackle this challenge and promote economic growth in these regions. And my suggestion is to invest in logistic infrastructure to establish an integrated and efficient network that will help to reduce logistic costs. Taking inspiration from successful projects like Trans-European Initiative, this approach will enhance connectivity, reduce transportation costs and ultimately lower logistic expenses. Encouraging the development of local industry is equally important. By reducing dependence on import and fostering collaboration between the federal government and Sabah Sarawak government, we can nurture domestic production, shorten transportation distance and decrease logistic costs. By forging strong partnership, providing incentive, grants and programs, we will stimulate growth in local industries. With these concerted efforts, we can reduce logistic costs, boost economic activity and ensure sustainable development in Sabah and Sarawak.
The last problem regarding the issue discussed is that Sabah's education sector is still at the lowest level. This is because rural students have to travel to distance of about 15 to 30 kilometers to school, which houses a large number of students and causes congestion and a lack of adequate facilities for students. Not only students are affected, but teachers also have to face this challenge because they are not only isolated from the cyber world due to the lack of internet access, but the school where they work is too poor in addition to the lack of road, water and electricity facilities. The teachers and students are also forced to cross the river to go to school due to the lack of bridge infrastructure facilities that can be connected next to the existing bridge, which is dangerous. This situation clearly shows the difference in the field of education in this area compared to Peninsular Malaysia, which has complete facilities and can provide comfort to students and teachers. The harm effect of the problem in education sector is that the funds for the development of the education sector are not fully used. This is because approximately 19% of the project implemented by the government in Sabah, which are projects funded by the federal government, are not carried out properly and according to the specification that has been set. The Minister of Local Government and Housing, based on the report received, it was found that there are many problematic projects and schools construction projects is one of the problematic projects as reported. This situation clearly shows that allocation given for the construction or maintenance of this school is affected when the state government or anybody involved do not regulate this provision properly and subsequently cause problem to the project that should be carried out. As a result, the development for the well-being of students and teachers in this rural area remains at the same level and will affect the field of education in this area.
Assalamualaikum, my name is FARISYA binti MOHD FARID. The last suggestion to the following issue is to emphasize the effectiveness and efficiency in handling allocation resources. However, it is still important for the government and stakeholders to emphasize effectiveness and efficiency in management of allocation resources. The things that need to be taken into account are important for the government to reevaluate the salaries of teachers in rural areas and ensure that they are rewarded fairly. This will increase the attractiveness of the profession and ensure the retention of quality teachers in the area. In addition, incentives such as rural allowance can also be considered to encourage experienced teachers to serve there. Next, the development funds provided for the education sector need to be used effectively to improve schools infrastructure in rural area. This includes the construction and conservation of building, sports and recreation facilities, well-equipped libraries and access to the information and communication technology. For example, there is effective technology that can provide good access, such as in Penampang, providing financial assistance to less able students, including giving help with gadgets. A digital infrastructure plan through the National Digital Network will increase internet speed as a step to help the people, especially students. Therefore, digital technology and online learning can also be used to provide access to quality education to students in remote areas. Overall, rural development needs immediate attention and action. Sabah logistic costs, access to basic services, and education sector experiencing the lowest condition are some of the issues that needs to be addressed. Through measures such as reducing logistic costs, working with GLC to create job opportunities, and emphasizing effectiveness and efficiency in resources management, rural development can be achieved in a more balanced way. This will help improve the living standard of the rural population, improve access to basic services, and improve the education sector for a brighter future.